Did somebody already start the recording?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome, did.
Sorry.
You confused me there. Okay. So, thank you, Madam President. I shall call this meeting to order now at 3:02 p.m. And before we get started, we would just like to respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. And unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we're currently situated on occupied territories. And remembering that as we are all working from home due to the COVID-19 pandemic, that we're taking the time to acknowledge that the lands that we are so privileged to work on. Today, I'm fortunate enough to actually be working on the lands with which I just, the aforementioned lands. However, I'm usually working on the Katzie and Kwantlen First Nations lands, and so just taking the time to recognize that. So we'll move to the roll call of attendance now. So I will just read out your position and briefly mention your name, your pronouns, and any access needs you might have. So I'll start with myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Gabe. I'm the VP University Relations and chair of this committee. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my access needs are met currently. And we'll move on to the president.
Hi, everyone. My name is Asab. My pronouns are she and her, and all my access needs have been met as of right now.
Thank you, Asab. VP External.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samat Raza. I'm the VP External Relation, and all my access needs are met. My pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you.
Thanks, Samad. Wei Chen, pardon me, Faculty of Science rep.
Hey, my name is Wei Chen. Go with pronounce him, his. My access needs are met.
Thank you, Wei Chen. Health Science rep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nafoni. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs have been met.
Thanks, Nafoni. Our education rep sent her regrets. Environment representative.
Hi, everyone. My name's Anuki. My pronouns are she, hers, and my access needs are met.
Thank you, Anuki. We also have both our at-large representatives here today. I'll start with Balkis.
Hi, my name is Balkis, she, her, hers, and my access needs are met.
Thanks, Balkis. Poom.
Hello, my name is Poom. My pronouns are she, him, and his, and all my access needs are met.
Thanks, Poom. Just as an FYI, our at-large seats are vacant right now, but not for long, I hope. I think those applications are going out today. So we also have society staff, campaigns, research, and policy coordinator.
Hi, everyone. It's Sarah, she, her, hers, and all my access needs have been met.
Thank you, Sarah. I don't think our executive director is joining us today. Executive assistant.
Hi, everyone. Shanika, she or hers, and my access needs are met.
Thank you, Shanika. And administrative assistant.
Hi, I'm Kristen, and she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Kristen. So we'll move on from that to the ratification of regrets. So we will, I will read out the motion. So be it resolved to ratify regrets from Emmerly. Is there a mover for that motion?
Nafoni.
Awesome, thank you, Nafoni. Is there a seconder?
I'll second, Wei Chen.
Thank you, Wei Chen. Is there any discussion on the, pardon me, the motion? No, I believe she had a pre-existing appointment or something. I don't exactly remember what, but she'd sent it to me a while ago. So we will move to a vote then. So seeking unanimous consent. And once again, just unmute your mic if you would like to dissent in any way, abstain, or vote against. I'll be seeking unanimous consent. All those in favor? And so seeing no opposition, also I noticed your mic is unmuted. I don't know. That's okay. Thank you. So that motion carries unanimously. Awesome. So now we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. 5.1, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there a mover for the motion? Is there a mover?
Nafoni.
Thank you, Nafoni. Is there a seconder?
I'll second Wei Chen.
Thank you, Wei Chen. Is there any amendments that or discussion on the agenda? Nafoni?
Hi, so I just wanted to amend the agenda to include a new discussion item. The discussion item is SFU anti-racism mandatory courses.
Awesome. Mandatory courses. Anti-racism mandatory courses. Okay, cool. That'll be as 8.3. I would also just like to replace, take 8.1 and replace it and just title it Academic Advocacy. I'd kind of like to have a broader discussion on that. Is there any other amendments? Sounds good. So I'll ask if anyone would like to move those amendments that were just put forward.
I'll move. Anuki.
Cool. Anuki, is there... Oops. Okay, Anuki, is there a seconder for those amendments? Okay, I can second, that's all right. So all those in favor of those if there's no discussion on the amendments, we will move to a vote. All those in favor of the amendments, seeking unanimous consent. So I'm seeing no opposition, so that the amendments carry unanimously. So we'll move back to the main motion then. So be it resolved to adopt the agenda as amended. So any discussion on the amended agenda? If not, we will move to a vote then. All of those in favor of adopting the agenda as amended, seeking unanimous consent? I am seeing no opposition, so that motion carries unanimously. Thank you, guys. We'll move to item number 6, 6.1. Be it resolved to receive and file the following meeting minutes from the UEA meeting on June the 2nd. Is there a mover for that motion?
I'll move.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Nafoni. Would anyone like to second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Wei Chen. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All right. I am seeing no discussion, so we'll move to a vote then. All those in favor of the motion, seeking unanimous consent? And I'm seeing no opposition, so that motion will also carry unanimously. Boom. All right, so we'll move into our updates then. So 7.1, updates from the COVID-19 Coalition. And if there are any updates, I think that would be Samad or Asib. You can go ahead. If there aren't any, just let me know.
There aren't any major coalition developments. I know that a big topic of conversation for us has been the town hall, which I know we're going to be talking about later today as well, so I won't get into that. But I think some of our focus may be shifting from this semester to what can be done in future semesters. The university has kind of dug their feet in terms of what accommodations are willing to make now. So I think there may be a moving of energy into future endeavors. But as meetings continue to happen, I or Samad will continue to update. And Samad, if I missed anything, please fill in for me.
No, I think that was a major updates, and as Osab said, that was all for this semester. More things will come probably starting next.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. And I'll probably just continue to add it on the agenda as updates, and you can just update as they come in. And if there aren't any, that's all good. So if there's no questions, we'll move on to our next updates then, which is from the Joint Operations Group. And I'll give a little bit into this, and also can jump in if she has anything to add. we haven't had a meeting since our last UAA meeting. JOG is meeting this Thursday, actually. And so some of the agenda items for that include, what are those? So there's an item on there to talk about the student affordability project, and I actually think also I would like to meet with you separately to kind of go over that, because that was something that was started before my term started, and I of course I would love to continue that project, but I'm actually not too acquainted with it quite yet.
Maybe it would be good to start to interject without typing list. It would be good to involve Matt. He's the one who is initiating this project, so have a talk with him.
Sure, sounds good. I'll send him a message after this. Let me just write that down so I don't forget. Beautiful. Also a discussion around the university budget. I believe that was also added by Matt. We talked about this, but there was a $48 million carryover from last year. And so we're just wondering what was up with that and where that came from. As well, we'll give updates from the SFSS. I believe that was around some things like the current progress of the sub, as well as how COVID-19 might be messing around with our opening plans. So just kind of updating them around on that. A topic that we would like to bring up is anti-Black racism on campus. And this largely was kind of sparked by the statement that was put out, I believe, by President Petter a while ago about the university's stance on anti-Black racism. And from our perspective, the statement wasn't really quite as in depth, or yes, this is still the JOG agenda. It just kind of felt like a chance to plug their EDI initiative, which right now doesn't really feel like any real change. And as Nafoni is going to bring up later, Nafoni and Nanuki, bringing up implementing mandatory anti-Black racism course modules or course content, as well as some other items will include what the fall term student enrollment might look like. What are some safety measures that will be implemented for labs that are going to be reopening in the fall? Other topics such as international students and work, and concerns about transportation costs. So that is essentially what will be brought up at JOG. And if Asa wants to add anything, she can go ahead, but yeah.
Not really. I'm currently, we just got the agenda sent out to us today, and one of the attachments is from the GSS, their response to the budget. We also have a copy. It was written up by Giovanni last year that I'm going to be forwarding to the committee. And if anyone is interested in having a copy, I can forward that to you folks as well.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Asa. If you can actually just forward that to the committee mailing list, that would probably be cool. So that's it from JOG, I suppose. So we can move on from that if there aren't any questions. Sounds good. And we'll continue to bring JOG updates from those meetings to the UAA committee as they come. So we'll move on to 7.3. Oh, sorry, Asa.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute myself and I accidentally left the call. But I wanted to ask, after having talked about some of the agenda items, so student affordability, we're going to be talking about the university's budget and the financing the carryover, anti-Black racism, international students and work. Are there any particular points that the committee feels that because usually what Gabe and I and Matt do is kind of meet ahead of the meeting and brainstorm, but I want to make sure that this committee has a chance to weigh in as well. So are there any pieces on those topics that you folks feel are really important to bring to the JOG table?
We can give that 30 seconds or so just to think about it, and if there aren't any, that's fine.
So the main topics are anti-Black racism, international students and work, concerns about transportation costs, if anybody has anything to add on that one.
Cool. Balkis is on the list?
Yeah, fall reading break. as well as asbestos, like in the Peak article.
Awesome.
So unfortunately, we're not really allowed to add like new agenda items at this point. We can try and squeeze those in under updates from student societies as like concerns that we want to address. But like right now, we are kind of constricted, I guess, to the agenda items that are already on the table.
Mm-hmm.
But my question was more so for like feedback on these specific topics. Any specific things that you guys think are important to bring to the university on the topics that I mentioned?
Balkis can directly reply.
I was just gonna ask, are you sure you can't actually add something? Because it's like a brand new thing, right? It only arose from the Peak yesterday. So
like we can try to like put it in under like updates from student societies, but usually we're pretty like crunched for time. So when you look at the agenda, they actually budget like time for each item. So I mean, we could try, but I don't know if we'll be able to get to it.
Yeah, and I suppose like this is kind of off topic, but not really. Things like the fall reading break, I think, are things that we should work on with Senate and our student senators, and I think that's something that we should totally be doing, and I would like to work on. And and in regard to the asbestos issue, I actually something I would like to do is set up a meeting with the chief safety officer on campus and get some more information on that and what's the deal with that. But back to JOG, if Shanika would like to make a comment, go ahead.
I know I attend JOG too, but I just want to know what SFE is planning to do in terms of EDI, rather than just saying we are a university for equity, diverse, and inclusiveness. Like, what are we going to do going forward, especially given all the racism protests that's going on? How are we going to ensure that there's safety for Black students on campus? But I can speak up at JOG as well, just telling you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Shanika. Asap, you can go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a really important piece, and I know I was able to bring it up at the meeting with Petter and Romana, and I think it'll be important to discuss at JOG too. But we did specifically bring up the issue of the composition of the committee. So from what they say, they'll be revisiting it to hopefully include actual like Black undergraduate students on the committee, but there haven't been any commitments made there as of right now.
Wei Chen?
I think a good thing would be to emphasize on like the financial well-being of students. Like just pushing on the point that tuition should be lowered, and going into online, like spring, it seems like it's going to be online as well. And just emphasizing on the point that they should not be profiting off students at this moment, especially with the late interest fee and just like the cost of tuition, and that tuition quality has been decreased, contrary to like what they've been saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely a valid concern. I think, again, it's one of those things where it's going to be hard to squish in because, again, the agenda is set, and I'm actually looking at the agenda right now and seeing if we can kind of squish that in somewhere. But yeah, of course, it's something we'll keep at the forefront. Balkis?
Can you please send the JOG meeting minutes that have happened this year?
Do minutes?
Normally get the minutes.
I think they're uploaded to the vault. Sorry, Gabe, for interrupting, but I think they're uploaded to the vault, so I can check.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't actually know minutes were taken, so that's good to know. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Cool. Is there any other points that you would like us to emphasize at that meeting? All right, cool. So what I'll do after this meeting is we can find the minutes. I'll send those over. I'll also send the JOG agenda. So if you think of something between now and Thursday, you can also send that to myself or Asib. All right. Sounds good. We'll move on then, if that's all right, from 7.2 to 7.3, which is the working group on emergency response and student engagement. And I'll pass it over to our working group lead, Samad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have some really good updates. First of all, for the Food Hub program, we have received a request from Tara regarding the form. So we have this, I believe we discussed this in the last meeting with Tara, that the SFSS will be hosting the form on its own website for students, and we will be only forwarding the information that is relevant for the food program to run properly, so that we can safeguard our students' privacy. So that's why we will be collecting information from our side. I believe I have forwarded that email to Gabe as well, the information they need on their end to operate successfully. And apart from that, today I received an email from Shanika as well. Thank you, Shanika, regarding the forum chamber size, which is 1,000 square feet. That was what they requested. And now we can work towards making this operation successful. In the next board meeting, I believe I'll be bringing up a motion regarding this to allocate the forum chamber space for this program, and also allocate at least $5,000 in reserve for this program, so that if we run into some kind of financial trouble, we don't have to come back to the board and pass another motion. We can keep the program running if we have some kind of funding in the reserve that we can use if we need to. So that's major updates for Food Hub program. I am meeting Gretchen, who is associate of Tara, on Thursday to talk about the possibility of opening up Food Hub for in Surrey campus, since Tara is mostly working with the partners in Burnaby. They can only operate in Burnaby sector. They cannot go in Surrey. So that's why we cannot provide services in Surrey. We will only be able to operate in Burnaby. But as SFSS, I believe it's our responsibility to make things more accessible for our membership and to use Surrey campus as well to provide this service. So that's why I asked Tara to if they have any plans for that. So she said Gretchen is her associate who is working on the Food Hub program in Surrey, and she connected us to her, and now we are meeting her and see if we can open up another Food Hub in Surrey campus. For that, more information will come next week, and I'll update the committee on that. So that's all for the Food Hub program. On the student engagement that we talked about, starting a game show, we are still in the process of developing it. We are putting down all the information on paper to know like a step-by-step situation how we can actually operate it and make it happen. We know that everyone have a really busy schedule. Apart from meetings and committee meetings and board meetings, they also have classes and other work, so we don't really want to push people that hard. So we have decided to put a operation deadline for this one as mid-July, so that we can have enough room to move around and make changes if needed. So now I'll open up for questions if anyone have any.
Poom, you can go ahead.
Sorry, I was typing. Not a question, but we were thinking of getting a list of people who would be interested in hosting or board members, right? Summit?
Yes, so as I said, there's two things you can do. I want to give everyone a chance to host the program, because like I believe it's going to be a fun thing to do as well, and like our membership can know the board members as well. So but I don't really want to put someone in spot saying that like, hey, you have to do this. So it's really optional. We will open up a list where board members can just put down their name if they would like to host the program or be the guest on the program, so that we can arrange things accordingly. That list I can open up that list to chair, and chair can decide if they want to forward it, how they would like to forward it to the other board members.
Thank you, Poom, and thank you, Samad. And yeah, I guess we're also we were emailing back and forth with Shanika and Samad this morning, just about the logistics of actually using the forum chamber space and making sure that, you know, the food we're using, you know, I'm trying to make sure that if it's fresh food, that, you know, trying to figure out the logistics of storing that, or if it's even possible to do that in that space. You know, making sure that there are measures in place so that people are properly socially distancing. And Shanika suggested setting up a meeting with the chief safety officer to sort out the logistics of that, as well as just contacting our communications coordinator to start communicating this program to students, to our members.
For that, we can set up a meeting with the food safety officer, and I believe it's mostly going to be pre-packing. So like the student will sign up a week before saying that they would like to pick up their parcel on this day and like time, and we will only prepare those that number of packages, so that we don't have to like store anything for a very long time. It's just going to be like for 2 or 3 hours. The student can come and pick up, and then we are done. I believe there's not going to be much. I don't think there are any cooked food or anything, so we don't have to worry about serving food in that sense. It's just going to be like a weekly ration stream. And yes, we will put all the measures in place for social distancing and also cleaning and sanitization. So Tara said she will be having all kind of cleaning equipment with her as well, so that they will take care of it, and they will make sure that social distancing in place. And apart from that, for communication, I was hoping first we can just put down dates of like which date are we actually dispatching our first batch. After that, we have that date, we can start communicating with our department, and then we can roll out promotion.
Thank you. So Shanika just mentioning we're good as long as food is not stored overnight or eaten on site.
Yes, so for that, I don't think food will be stored overnight, but I will confirm again with Tara. But like in the last meeting, it was just like it's going to be packed, come in, and they're gonna dispatch it. So that's why we don't really discuss anything about storing it overnight.
Awesome, it's good to know. Is that all from you, Samad? Is there any other questions or comments?
From my side, that's like a major updates. I can update you guys next week regarding the Gretchen meeting on Surrey campus, and then if we see that it's feasible, we can start a food hub in Surrey campus as well. One thing that I would like to request is like when we're hosting form on our website, they only ask for like name and how many people there in the household and like the time and date of the pickup. But what I would like to know more is like location of a student, so that we can know where a student is coming from. We don't have to like ask the address completely, just like major location like Surrey campus, like they are in Surrey, Burnaby, downtown Richmond, so that we can know where our demographic is coming from, and we can provide more accessible services.
Awesome. Thank you, Samad. So that sounds great. So we'll move on from 7.3 then, if that's all right. Sounds good. So we'll move on to 7.4 then. So the working group on the SFSS Student Town Hall, and I'll pass it over to Balkis, but if you have any updates or anything, you can mention that here as well. We can kind of just use this time to sort out any planning or logistical details as well.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
So updates from my end are I've been in communication with the groups, especially the C19 coalition about the town hall, just talking about like the framing as well as the purpose of it, I guess, and just sorting out some details. I'm on my end responsible for making sure the tech and logistics run smoothly. So I've been in touch with Sindhu, and we're in the process of getting a new town hall account, literally just called townhall@sfss.ca, where we'll be purchasing the one-time plan, and we have a test run just on like SFSS's side tomorrow morning. And I guess I would like input, I guess two things from UAA at the moment is one, just suggestions for polling questions, because we do plan on having polls throughout the town hall, just a couple. And if anyone has ideas, that would be great. And I guess the second thing is to see if anyone who is interested in working more closely with me on this. I know Wei Chen's expressed interest. Asub is as well, but busy woman, this president. So yeah, that is. Anyone have any questions? It's kind of a short update. No. And
No, that's okay.
we'll be doing a test run like with the other groups next week.
Sure. So that was a kind of two-parter. First of all, if there's any polling question ideas, and secondly, if anyone wants to express interest in working more closely with Balkis. Of course, I'll be here to support too. And if you're doing a test run tomorrow, I'd love to know when that is, and I'll be there to support.
Sweet. It's at 10 tomorrow.
10 a.m. Well, obviously, yeah. Sure, I'll make myself available. Just if you can send me the details on that,
okay,
or even just send that to the committee as well. Just if anyone wants to be a part of that. Cool, Shanika.
I have no particular questions. The question should be with regards to what our students need. We need to find out their needs so we can meet them where they're at, especially during this time.
Yeah. So when it comes to polling, yeah, we'd trying to figure out how you would do that. When it comes to polling, it can't necessarily be like open-ended questions where you actually type out a comment, unless I don't know much about the software you're using, but we'd have to figure out how to.
It really could.
Pardon me?
It could.
Oh, it could. Oh, wonderful.
I think it's worth having a mix of open and closed, because I think some questions you can ask just to like for the sake of just getting people in the right frame of mind, because we're not the ones who actually make the changes, right? We're not the institution, but we also need to make it clear that we are willing to hear students and just advocate on behalf of students as best as we can. I think I just really want to make that clear that we're the advocacy group and like we're with you.
For sure. Yeah, polling questions, ideas. Let's get these brainstorming juices flowing. We have one. What are students' needs? Of course, that means financially. Like, what are your financial needs? Where do you feel you need support? What are your academic needs? How can courses be delivered in a way that is equitable to, the diverse learning needs? I think a huge part of this is that there's so many different teaching styles going on right now, and there isn't really a uniform way that professors are delivering courses online, instructors online. So, just trying to figure out what those needs are so then we can bring those concerns forward. And so Shanika is suggesting creating a Google Doc so that the board can populate with questions over the course of the week. Balkis, is that something you might be able to do and then send it out to the board?
Sure, I'll start a doc and share with the UAA committee.
Awesome.
I put myself on the list. I'm not sure if you missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I did. I was opening a million tabs at once. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I think one really important polling question would be if students feel that their quality of education has reduced. Because, I see here from John Driver that he said he feels like education, the quality has not decreased, but I think we're hearing a lot of like different answers from students. So I think that would be a really good question, and like putting it into just showing SFU like they're not right and that education quality has gone down. I think that's a really important question, a polling question to put out to students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just about to mention something, but I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. And also just relating that to like whether they feel like they should pay less tuition and whether they should feel that it's unfair that they're paying the same amount.
Sorry, Balkis, did you want to say something?
Yes, I was going to say I really like the idea of asking about the quality of education, because the answer will be totally contradicting the narrative that SFU is trying to push. I'm just trying to think, what other narratives is SFU trying to shove down our throat or in the public's throat that we could just very clearly show an answer for, that like it's not true? That was a really good question. Quality of education.
Probably like professors being like compassionate. They assume that because they encourage professors to be compassionate and understanding, that professors are doing so, or at least they're telling the department or faculties. But as we heard, not every professor is actually doing that, and they need to set up a mandate or something instead of just encouraging.
Agreed.
So something like, is it the university's responsibility to mandate equitable, compassionate learning?
That's beautiful. Yeah, no, I think the way that was worded was great, or something along those lines. That's fantastic. I think that what we need to what our focus in that question is the word equity, because that's completely lacking right now. And I think that every time someone like John Driver or people in charge of academics, whenever they say we are encouraging but we're not mandating, I can't even stress enough how like that's doing a lot of damage, and I don't think they even realize that. Or maybe they do, and there's reasons that they're not telling us for not doing it. But yeah, for sure. Okay, sure. And we'll continue populating these onto the Google Doc that will be made, which is great. Balkis?
And I guess a suggestion for if, like, as you think about questions and add them to the document, just also, you can go check out the town hall that SFU did do. That might help with brainstorming questions. Like, do you guys remember what I'm talking about? The town hall on Facebook, there's that whole comment section with a bunch of students there.
Yeah.
I was starting from the C19 Facebook, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Wei-Chen, what? Oh, never mind.
The C19 Facebook, yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, cool. Is there anything else we should be discussing around the town hall? Is there anything else we can do to support the working group at this time?
Yeah, I guess I just want to ask who is interested or who is going to be working closely with me. I guess Gabe, you said I'll be in touch with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, me as well.
Nafoni as well?
I could help too.
Lovely. And it might, if you think you need more help too, Balkis, it might even be a good idea to reach out to the rest of the board as well. Just send out an email or something in the Discord.
I think we're good on this end because we're working with others as well. So I think a group of 4 is pretty solid. Thanks.
Yeah. Can you remind me, which specific groups did you reach out to?
Okay. The town hall is going to be with the Graduate Student Society, C19 Coalition, Tuition Freeze Now, as well as TSSU, the Teaching Support Staff Union. And to answer Nafoni, I'm wondering if this town hall is purely on academic things or if it's broad. It's broad. It's everything. Like what can, yeah, there's nothing off limits. Do you think, is there anything that comes to mind, Nafoni, when like you were typing that comment?
Yeah, I was going to say, since we were discussing anti-racism, and SFU put out that statement that wasn't really that great, maybe we should look into asking questions regarding how students feel about having anti-racism mandatory courses, or anything in that general area. Any questions with that topic? Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I think, sorry, Anuki's on the list as well.
Yeah, I support that. I really want some like anti-racism resources and stuff like that. And through the town hall, maybe we can like show the students what we're working on currently, and then also get feedback as well, like Nafoni said. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I definitely want that. Yeah, especially after hearing, yeah.
Do you want to, just for the committee, what exactly did Elizabeth L say? I have the Discord message, I just don't have it in front of me.
She said that making anti-racism courses mandatory would make people more racist. And I don't understand that, but to each their own.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. Ignoring the systemic problems. Oh my God. Balkis can go, and then Samad can go after that.
Yeah, I heard that response from that meeting. It was really unfortunate, as well as I know when some students met with her not too long ago, specifically from DNA, and they were bringing stuff up. Yeah, that typical response of just like shrugging off responsibility. I think in general, like step one, it's a good step, mandating like anti-racism or just in general anti-oppressive classes, but at the same time, it needs to be so much deeper than that, and like actually in the framework and approach that SFU takes, right? Because if you do force people to take a class and it doesn't even count for credits or like WQB or something, I don't know, one class doesn't change a person, you know what I mean? I think we should, that could be a part of our advocacy, but definitely need to just push for like get SFU to just even start consulting with equitable policy making firms or consultants. That's like a good first step, which I am sure SFU is not doing. That's a good first step, I think.
Yeah, and just for the record, Elizabeth L is the VP Teaching and Learning for SFU for anyone who wasn't sure. I think Samad was on the list next, and then Anuki.
Hi, so first of all, I don't really understand why she gave out that statement. Doesn't really make sense. But can someone tell me in like if have more detail, like what was the proposal, like how the courses should be? Did someone just ask them to like do a course, or provided a detail like, okay, this is how the course should be, this week's long and mandatory in this manner, and students are supposed to pay for the course, or is it going to be free? Like what kind of details were there around it? Like because without the detail, I don't think I'll be able to make sense of her statement.
Yeah, I totally want to talk about that, but there is a discussion item on the agenda later. I think we should bring it up then, just to stay on topic of the town hall. But yeah, that's a great question. Keep that in your head. Anuki, you were on the list next.
Yeah. So to answer Samad for just briefly, I think Jennifer can also offer more insight. But if Gabe, if we're talking about that later, then we can talk about it then. But I personally think that's a way of like silencing us and like keeping things like as like business as casual or usual, sorry, and like continuing on with like how like I personally think that this is like academia is institutionally like very racist, and it like upholds systemic racism. And yeah, that's a way that they're trying to like stop us from changing things. And yeah, that's just basically the comment that I wanted to make.
Thank you. Wei-Chin, you're next.
Oh no, I think you answered my question. I was just gonna ask who Elizabeth is, but yeah, it's fine.
Sure. So on the topic of the town hall, how are we feeling on that? Thumbs up. Lovely. Balkis, all good?
Yeah, all good.
I love it. Okay, so I guess a lot of what we were just talking about beautifully transitions into our discussion items, which our first one is around 8.1. We'll start around the discussion around academic advocacy first. So as Asab said at the beginning of our meeting, a lot of our advocacy efforts should be focused now more toward the fall semester, because, you know, I was quite shocked when I realized that I had a midterm this week, and I was like, oh my God, it's already halfway through the semester. So there is a lot that unfortunately the university did not do this semester. And the thing is, we have another semester online, which means that for us, as a representative body of the students, we need to be there to ensure that the next 4 months of this do not go the same way that it did this semester. So we need to have discussions around what are we asking the university. Of course, we're still pushing for all of the things that arose from our COVID-19 survey, such as implementing asynchronous teaching in an equitable way, so that students who are struggling to adapt to the world of online learning and learning from home are able to, you know, work at their own pace, or students who are essential workers, or students who have have to work around trying to, you know, help their family out during this time, but also, you know, still having options for live lectures for those students who work well in that way, but not requiring participation in the live setting. I think that creates accessibility issues for a huge percentage of students. Decreasing tuition to reflect the change in educational quality. And again, we've discussed this. It's not a matter of if educational quality has changed. It definitely has, and that is backed up by our by quantitative data, the quantitative data from our COVID-19 survey. And just overall, a greater unified, centralized response from the university, because obviously right now, as I said, it really actually does make me angry when I hear individuals like John Driver say we are encouraging, but we are not enforcing, because that does a lot of damage. And professors actually want instruction. I can't. There are many instances I've heard of where, you know, students have contacted their professors and have asked for accommodations, or have asked why they're doing it a certain way, and they are saying they're not getting much direction from SFU, despite the university telling instructors that they are. So, of course, this will be done through, you know, many different channels. We will continue bringing it to JOG, but we have many of our board members are also on Senate, and we're also consistently working with other student senators who are not also board members. But some channels that this should be done through is, you know, just recently actually, the Senate committee of voting, the Senate committee elections were completed, and I am now also a member of the Senate Committee on Undergraduate Studies, which, for your information, was the body that implemented the pass-fail and grade system in the spring semester. And that body has a lot of influence in terms of enforcing asynchronous course delivery and other means of delivering courses. So on that note, I would just like to open up the floor to discussion on this topic and where the SFSS's efforts need to be going forward. Samad?
Yeah, so I know that we have talked about doing a quality survey, education quality survey or online for town hall, but that's going to be like going to all the students in general. I was thinking if we can do a survey department-wise, so we can know specifically which department needs what, what students are thinking in the department and how they like to be accommodated. So like a more in detail survey. So because the problem is right now we are going into fall semester online, but spring semester is highly likely to be online as well, and things are not improving. Students are having really difficult time learning online.
Sorry, I was listed. LOL. Balkis is next on the list.
Yeah, I actually disagree. I don't think we need to be collecting any more data. I think we collected data. We have information. Like we've seen even the previous semester how academically the things we need to advocate for, which is still asynchronous learning, as well as, yeah, we have stuff in our report. So I don't think more data collection is necessary. I just think that's going to stall us even more.
Thank you. Wei Chen?
Yeah, I kind of had a talk with this just now with my different science DSU, and I kind of encouraged them to make their own survey and send it out to their students in the other department just to see how the semester is going, since it's like in the middle of the semester, and then yeah, just get feedback, because I think different departments might have different issues with courses. Like physics could have different issues, and math could have different issues, and just kind of see how courses can be changed or adapted better in the fall. Yeah, I'm not too sure if that's what Balkis is saying, but I think the broader issues of proctoring and all the asynchronous, that's all known, but in terms of individual courses, what can be better improved for professors to change around their course. I think maybe that's a good idea to do around DSU instead of a broad wide survey.
Yeah, it's Balkis, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious to hear, Sarah, if you're still here, what you think on everything, since based on the numbers and the report, the survey results, what do you think?
I don't think she's here.
Sorry.
I don't see her.
Sometimes my mouse takes a while to hover over the microphone and get it on. Yeah, are you asking my thoughts in terms of the chances of SFU responding, or my thoughts in terms of the report in general?
Yeah, anything that comes to mind in terms of advocacy, anything from the report results, or how that can steer us in our advocacy efforts. Just anything that comes to mind if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, something that's not 100% out of the report but related, I think. There's a group, and I've looped Samad into this as well, that's looking at potentially going to the province about transit. Nothing's set in stone yet, but there might be a letter being drafted by some of the student unions about trying to get essentially an emergency free UPass for the year. Because one of the things that we've been struggling with is, it's very difficult to take away the UPass. Every few years, student societies fight really hard to make sure that the province gives that to students. And overwhelmingly, students definitely want that benefit. But it's been really hard trying to kind of work within the terms of those contracts, especially with COVID, when we have really no idea when everyone's going to be going back. Even September, it's hard to say what that looks like in terms of jobs and other things. We might not be going back to school, but there's a lot of people that are going to be going back to work, needing transit to go other places, more than those that already have to use it every day are needing. So that's something that I could see there being a link between kind of internal SFU advocacy as well as externally. Because one of the reasons it's so difficult is because SFU codes courses a certain way. And I think that's where a lot of the challenges and maybe the lobbying towards SFU can go, is kind of looking into why they code courses a certain way, how that works. It's not really transparent, and I don't really have any idea about how that whole process works, but I think that influences a lot of the decisions that they're making about courses. I don't know how we'd find this information out, but probably just starting some dialogue with some administrators that are in charge of that on the registrar side might be something that's important. SFU is going to be super resistant to really meeting a lot of the demands, and that's why they've told everyone that, okay, we don't think course quality is decreased. They don't want to lose any of their funding. So I think it's about figuring out ways to see, like, how does course coding work at SFU and how we can get that knowledge to use it to our advantage. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Balkis, does that answer your question? If you had a follow-up?
Yeah, that was a lot. Thank you. I have a follow-up question though. I guess in terms of SFU internal advocacy, do you think we need more department-wide data, like someone was talking about moving forward, or do you think the results like suffice from our survey?
So department-wide, do you mean like doing individual surveys for each department?
Yeah, kind of what someone was talking about, just seeing department-specific issues. Or yeah, just wanted to hear you.
I mean, I think that's up to the board. I don't really have an opinion either way, if that would be helpful or not helpful. I think the survey did really well in terms of response rate. But if we want to have more data that's specific to faculties, so you can approach individual deans or administrators within those departments, that's definitely something that can be done. One of the things that I think about, and the board can make a decision if you'd want to release this info at the time, but I've submitted a report to both Sylvia and Erin Biddlecombe about a month and a half ago about the food security research that I completed over the last year. And I have quite a few reports and studies that I've done on that. And essentially what I planned for in my research, I don't know if any of you were students last year and you took that survey by any chance. It was the Household Food Security Survey. So it was released last September to all students, and that's something that I think in the context of COVID and with some of the lobbying or advocacy that we've done more on an academic side already to SFU could kind of complement some of those efforts by releasing that survey to all students and seeing if any of those numbers have changed, because that gives us a good baseline, because I've already done the survey last year and we got just over 1,000 responses, which again was better than I could have expected. Most students, like most surveys across Canada for similar things, get a lot lower of a response rate. So I think that's another thing I could see potentially being a follow-up, as well as releasing that report that I prepared. I don't think that really answers your question, but I think, yeah, whatever the board wants to do in terms of surveying, I think it can't hurt.
You're muted, Gabe.
I really got to work on that. Wei Chun, you're on the list, and then we can go to Austin.
Yeah, I guess my survey is not so much of like SFSS doing the survey, more so just like the science DSU, like just doing their own survey and just communicating to the department on like what can be improved on like maybe certain courses or whatever, or how like their different departments can adapt to teach like their specific subjects. But yeah, in terms of like, I think the SFSS, I don't think we need any more survey, and we can go ahead with like planning like advocacy and actions around the survey that we have. A question I want to ask is like, are students still being charged for like extra like fees just because courses are online, or like is it just specific courses that are like coded differently?
Wait, Chen, is that a question for me?
Yeah, like anyone who can answer, like are students being charged like extra, or is it just like certain courses which are like coded, like the code, whatever?
So all the courses, to my knowledge, they haven't been changed in the way that they're coded. They're still coding them as technically in-person classes, even though they're being delivered online. So they haven't reclassified all the courses that you're taking remotely as online courses, if that makes sense. So then all the applicable fees would still be collected for an in-person course. I might be wrong. There might be some that have reclassified, but I think generally that's what's been communicated.
What about courses that are like initially like originally coded as like online and like that has extra fees? Are those being changed like to like cancel those fees?
What I think is if it was online, you would have been paying lesser fees to begin with. There's certain fees that aren't collected. I'm coming more at this mostly from a UPass perspective because that's where I've learned a lot about this process through Steve Burney, who I've worked with that is at SFU. And you can opt out of certain fees if you are online, such as the UPass, but we haven't really got a definitive answer if that's something that would have been possible if we didn't move to this, removing the UPass for the summer semester. So I think that it has to be coded online and you have less fees than an in-person student. So I highly doubt that there would be anything for online courses that would be taken off at this time. I think it would be the same as in person.
Okay. My mic is unmuted this time. Yay. Yeah, so does anyone else have anything to say? Balkis?
I think UAA should really focus on getting the results of the survey out, because I know we put it out there, but it's not really in like digestible chunks for students, and just constantly refer to it in our advocacy efforts and campaigns.
Yeah, Asab, I know you mentioned it, but that you were going to submit a work order to make some graphics from our survey results. I just wanted to follow up and see if you did that, and if not, I can do that if you haven't had time, or if you're able to do that.
Yeah, I honestly just haven't had the chance to get to that.
That's fair. You're busy. So yeah, I will. I'll take a look at the survey results and see which parts. I think there were specific numbers that we were very concerned about, such as students who don't have access to reliable Wi-Fi, or you know, students who don't have an adequate workspace or adequate like things like that that are you know, that are big numbers that will help us in our, you know, our online campaigns. So let me just write that down.
Gabe, may
Yeah.
I go ahead? Today, I actually learned that Marsha from the Indigenous Center, she was saying they're actually Indigenous students who don't have access to internet at all, which I was actually surprised. So it's this. Thanks for doing the survey. It's interesting to learn about what's happening.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty shocking. And again, that this comes down to that's very good that you bring. Well, it's not good, but it's good that you bring it up, that piece of information, because it's something again that has been missing here is that piece of equity. And again, we're bringing up the fact that during this pandemic, our marginalized communities are the most impacted. And with that piece of information, I think Indigenous communities are having a really hard time finding the resources necessary to actually succeed online. I was speaking to Matt, and he was discussing with me how a student, you know, the grading scheme last semester was changed when classes were moved online, and the way that it was changed caused that student's grade to go down, and then they lost funding from their band. And so they are having a hard time paying for school now because a professor changed things up too much. So yeah, of course, need to keep that in mind, keeping our marginalized communities at the forefront. Sorry, I saw something. About 15% of students reported they didn't have access to reliable electricity. Could possibly be an understanding. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over Uniphone. You can go ahead.
That's okay. I just had a quick question. So I know that obviously classes aren't in session in real life, but is campus still open for students to go up and use like study spaces and labs, etc.?
To the best of my knowledge, study spaces are open, like open spaces such as Westmall Center or the AQ are open, you know, of course, where there isn't construction or anything. I think actual classrooms or you know, study spaces with like actual like doors are probably closed. I think they're trying to reduce the amount of you know, germs getting into spaces. But there is also a big campus security presence. And if you and I don't think it's a problem. You just have to show them your ID, and they write down your name, and they ask you where you go. But there are a number of I would refer to them as checkpoints. But to the best of my knowledge, and if anyone wants to correct me on that, like today I'm on campus, and I just had to I passed one of those checkpoints where I just had to write down like this is where I am and when I came. And but Wei Chin, you can go ahead. You're on the list.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the actions and stuff, like I think about Bucky said, we need more digestible chunks of information, and then we need to kind of have actions on like what students can do. Stuff like emailing the profs, or like some sort of like campaign action where we can like show the SFU that, you know, what they're saying is not true. And yeah, I don't know, like come up with ideas of like on actions like this using our surveys result. Yeah.
Question from Nafoni: are all study spaces in all three campuses open, or just Burnaby campus? That's a great question. I actually don't know the answer. If anyone wants to jump in on that. Asib?
As far as I know, the Surrey campus is open. I'm not sure about the Vancouver campus, but the library and classrooms are not open.
Yeah. And of course, there's a bug, but and I lost my train of thought because that bug flew in my face. Anyway, is there any more discussion around that.
I think Balkis is on the list.
Oh, I'm sorry. Again, if I miss anyone, please just jump right in, because I am obviously not having a good day when it comes to tracking people on the speakers list. Balkis, you can go ahead.
I think. Oh, Asif had a direct response to something.
Didn't she already directly responded?
Oh, okay. So I really like the idea of let's figure out what our actions are. So we have the data. We know students we know students want just better conditions in every way possible. In terms of actions, I really like Wei Chen's idea of an email campaign. We could think of just like how to amplify that, like a hashtag to use. Maybe like people can put up photos with a hashtag of, I don't know, whatever we choose, but putting up a picture and writing on a piece of paper something and taking a photo, just stuff like that to like really build a campaign. Do you guys have any ideas for other actions? Also, if we did, like, let's say we did do an email campaign, what specifically, who would we email and with what?
Yeah, Wei Chen can go ahead and directly respond.
Yeah, like something like making the data in digestible chunks, and then like asking students like to maybe take like a picture of like themselves holding like a paper with like a hashtag or like some sort of statement saying like, you know, from based on this, like statements that are based on the survey results. Say maybe like, oh, like I'm like digging into my savings, or I don't have adequate study space, or and additional stress is being put on like students, and all like those kind of like campaign and pictures. I think is really powerful. I think those have been like kind of going around with like the what migrant workers have been doing for advocating for like international students and like migrant workers, where they hold up just like signs with like hashtags and like statements on their paper. I think that would be really good as well. So yeah, and just deciding if we do email, like where should that email go to and like who.
Awesome.
So I think if an email campaign is something that everyone's interested in, that can be kind of a two-pronged thing, where the faculty reps can take on emailing the deans and on undergraduate program managers within their faculty. And then Gabe, as the university relations person, you can kind of take the lead on actually emailing the university admin, even though they've heard it and have not really responded to it. I think it's worth just reiterating. And then for faculty reps in particular, I don't know if any of you have had chances to actually meet yet with the deans or program managers and stuff. Sometimes they set up like lunches or meetings and stuff like that, but it might be a chance to reach out and actually have a conversation in person to the folks who are on the ground actually working closer to students than some of the admin are.
Thanks, Asad. Balkis?
Hi, so the kind of email campaign I was thinking about was actually more directly to like directing students to, it could be as easy as clicking a button and then there's like a template and your name is filled out automatically. You type your email, your name, and then we flood the people who are making these decisions. So whoever's on SCUS, in Senate, I think like they're the ones who make all like a lot of decisions regarding academia, right? So I think literally just directing hundreds of students their way till they cannot avoid us anymore is going to cause them a lot of pain. Not pain, but like they're gonna be annoyed and because they can't ignore us anymore. So that's the kind of email campaign I'm talking about. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. It'd be as easy as a click of a button.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea, and I think that I'll get to you in a second, Wei Chen, but and Nafoni looks like she agrees. But yeah, I think that is a great place to focus our attention, and I think you're getting right to the center of the problem here, and that still also can also include, in addition to that, our faculty reps emailing and contacting or setting up meetings with their deans or program chairs, as well as myself contacting SFU admin if their inbox isn't flooded with emails from other students, that is. Wei Chen? No, sorry. Yeah, Wei Chen.
Yeah, like like something like like getting like drawing tuition, or we could like actually go further and say that SFU maybe should actually freeze tuition. Like bringing up like University of Saskatchewan, like they actually did it. So like maybe bring that as an example, like it is possible. Like why aren't we doing this? Like if you know that students are actually like in a financial crisis, and especially coming out of like a pandemic, like like how can you still be charging late fees and like arguing that quality of education has not gone down to charging the same tuition fees while like University of Saskatchewan actually froze tuition for the year. So like just bring examples like that and like putting that against them maybe.
Thank you, Sarah, for campaign gears. We'll take a look at that. Nafoni?
I just wanted to reply to Balkis in terms of the like reaching out to specific people, like the email campaign I meant. I think it would be really easy to create like a email script, like the ones that have been going around recently for like the Black history in BC schools, or like for defunding the police, like that kind of script, and for students specifically, so that they can quickly send out emails to people in admin to talk about like the needs that we want. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So just to kind of summarize the conversation that's going on here, because I feel like we're all kind of on the same page when it comes to, or I'll probably just ask overall consensus. I think we all kind of like the idea of doing an email campaign. It's just trying to figure out the logistics of that and who it's directed to, and what role myself and our faculty reps will play in that. Before I go on though, Balkis, you can directly reply.
Yeah, just a response to who to send it to. I think we should send it to all of SCUS.
All of SCUS, okay.
Okay.
No, yeah, I don't think it really matters how it's pronounced. I just heard it's pronounced SCUS. But yeah, and Balkis has sent the link there to the Senate Committee Terms of Reference. As I mentioned before, I'm also on this committee. So, and I think the chair of that committee is Wade Parkhouse. He's the Associate Vice President Academic. Demands in the email should be the demands we have in our survey report. Yeah, of course, Wade, and they should be deriving from our report. Yeah, so, sorry, Shanika has a question. Balkis, the town hall is coming up quickly. Are we going to post it in our social media platforms? Yes, Monday. Beautiful. So something that I'm very excited about is that the faculty reps and at-large reps on the board actually now have their own committee. And as VP University Relations, I'm a non-voting member of that committee, so I get to support the faculty reps in any projects that they take on at a departmental or faculty level. And I think that this is also a great place to work on that. And I'm hoping that that committee meet sometime in the next week or two, and that this can be a great place to discuss that. However, that we can also still continue to talk about it up until then. So I've just written down some action items, and I would just like anyone to jump in if there's anything that I missed. So on the topic of an email campaign, just coming up with ways to amplify this campaign through the use of hashtags, photos of people holding up signs saying how, what they need or how they've been impacted. Taking the numbers, the quantitative data from our survey, and turning that into graphics to post around social media to draw attention to how students are struggling. Farm reps emailing their deans or program chairs, or setting up meetings to talk about these issues. Myself, I can take those concerns directly to the SFU admin. And look into the software that Sarah forwarded to us, Campaign Gears, to see how that can help us with our email campaign. For our report, yeah, so these are, did you copy and paste that from our report, Balkis?
Yes, these are the recommendations that we made in our report. So just ideas for the email campaign, just more specific stuff. We could really put pressure with the asynchronous learning. And I guess B is more broad, just providing greater academic accommodations for students with disabilities. But C is also very pointed and directed, which I think is also, yeah, worth including in our email campaigns.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so those are some action items we can take out of this. Is there any, final thoughts or concluding statements? Samad has to leave early. Thank you, Mr. Raza, for coming, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Balkis, you can go ahead again.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the action items are. Can you recap those, please?
Oh yeah, sure. So on the topic of our emailing campaign, just brainstorming ways to amplify our advocacy efforts through the use of hashtags or photos the photos of people holding up signs like we were discussing, and taking our quantitative data from our survey and turning those into graphics to use on social media and in our advocacy efforts. Farm reps emailing their deans or program chairs, or maybe not just emailing, but maybe setting up meetings as well. Myself as VPUR, taking these concerns directly to SFU admin through meetings or emails, and taking a look at how we can make this email campaign more effective. And we'll take a look at the software that Sarah just commented here. Wei-Chen?
Should someone be in charge of drafting the emails? Like, should it be like faculty reps? Like in terms of like emailing like their own faculties? Well, actually, there's like three emails, right? There's like one towards the Senate, one towards the faculty deans, and then the other one like just students emailing the departments. So like, who's like in charge of like drafting those emails?
Yeah, so I think that what should happen is that with the email campaign, I think we talked, the consensus, it kind of seemed, was that would go to SCOOS, because that's kind of where these decisions are being made. So probably the SCOOS chair. We'll have to find the contact information for that. We will need to assign someone to actually kind of write that email. And from there we can share it with students. I think that that's something that I can work on alongside anyone else who would be interested. And of course, you can express that interest now. Let me just write that down. Email to schools.
So is it going to be 3 separate emails, or just like, 3 separate letters, or like the same?
Well, they probably don't need to be too different, but okay. Depending on who it goes to, you obviously have to address it slightly different, right?
Yeah, but the content will kind of be the same, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to SCOOS, deans, and admin, kind of 3 separate emails. Balkis?
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, why are there, like, where does the faculty, like emailing faculty come in? I think I might have missed this part, because I think it's really important we figure out like what exactly we want, which seems like we're still talking about, and then move forward from there. I just suggested SCOOS because that's like they're the decision-making body with this type of thing. So wondering where, just emailing deans and stuff come in, because they don't actually have, as compassionate as they can be, they don't actually have a whole lot of mandating power compared to actual Senate, right?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the actually, I'll let Asa respond to that.
I think it might be helpful in that I know that there are obviously profs who are quite frustrated with what's going on, and there are profs who have been trying to make accommodations for their students, and who have been having a hard time as well. I think it might be helpful to get this message out to deans and faculty, even if just for the fact that we want to make it known that we don't think that educational quality is the same. We recognize that students are struggling, and we want to make sure that they're informed as well. I think it's a pretty quick and easy thing to do, to just shoot out an email. So it just might be helpful to get our word out to the different faculties, if anything.
Yeah, agreed. Does that answer your question, Balkis?
Yes, I think I misunderstood. I thought we were like flooding them with emails. I realize now that it is just one email.
Yeah, so I guess my understanding, and this is good because clarification is good. If we're talking about flooding, I think that would go to SCOOS. Individual emails by our farm reps would go to the dean, so no flooding of deans. And I will contact the administration. Cool. How are we feeling comfortable with this?
Yeah, I just assumed that people kind of know that it was supposed to be faculty, just faculty reps emailing the deans. I wasn't referring to like email blasting all the deans.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think we're feeling pretty good here. We have a lot to think about and some action items to take out of this meeting. I'll just ask for any final thoughts or conclusions before we move on, because we have one more agenda item. No, two more, pardon me. All right. So I will take that as the discussion has been exhausted. We'll move on to 8.2 then, which is issues regarding RA and SFU agreements. And I guess this is more of an update, and I guess kind of a question as to, is there a way the SFSS can help out? And I think that maybe even ASA has kind of been in discussions around this and might be able to jump in. But there has been, I'll send them out in an email after, Anuki. So I think most of us are aware here that research assistants back in the spring underwent a massive campaign in an attempt to unionize research assistants on campus, and that was at the time largely successful. They were recognized by SFU, and they began, entering into agreements with the university on moving toward unionization. And so I'm just trying to read this here. There was a memorandum of agreement recognizing that the TSSU was a bargaining agent for all research assistants on campus and at the university. However, since then, there has been a number of challenges coming from the university side. So three promises that came out of that agreement were that all 1,500 RAs would be recognized as employees of SFU, and that SFU would provide a list of RAs to the TSSU, because if you're unionizing RAs, you kind of need to know who your members are in order to be a bargaining agent. And that collective bargaining would start on May 1st. However, SFU admin has not provided the TSSU with any RA's names. Actually, the no list has been provided in any form, and bargaining has not and cannot begin as was promised. And so right now there is a massive violation of the agreement between RAs and SFU. And another thing too is they're trying to dramatically narrow what the definition of an RA actually is, to make it a lot more difficult for them to actually unionize in the way that they intended to when this agreement was put in place. So, there's a lot happening on the GSS and TSSU side right now, because I think that this does impact many undergraduate students, but on the most part, it's quite devastating to graduate students. But this is still something that's big on the undergraduate side as well. And the SFSS did endorse the Researchers Work campaign. The board endorsed it back, I don't remember exactly when, but it was the last board term. So we are, we are a part of this, and if the SFSS can help in any way, we definitely should. And I would just like to ask Asif, I don't know if you've had any conversations around this with, Matt from GSS or Vince, or if there's already kind of something happening between the SFSS and the TSSU, or if there's any areas of collaboration that are potential.
So they did reach out to us for some help in spreading the petition, and we were able to post that on our social media and stuff. As you guys remember, that did go out in the Discord, and then I gave an update at the most recent board meeting. As far as I know, they should have already gone into mediation with the university, so I think it's just waiting on an update to see how that went.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So I don't think there's much there other than that's there for your information, and we're kind of just waiting on that then. Okay, cool. If there's any questions on that, ask them now. Sounds good. Okay, we'll move on from that then, and we'll go to one of the discussion items that was added, 8.3, which is anti-racism mandatory courses. And I'll pass on to Nafoni or Anuki, whoever wants to go first, as the people who brought it forward.
Nafoni, you can go first.
Okay, I'll just say I'll just talk, and then if I miss anything, you can add. So essentially, a student reached out, and they were they're in the process of trying to get SFU to implement anti-racism mandatory courses. They are in the Department of Education, so they were starting there, but they reached out to SFSS because they wanted to see if we would support them in this task, as well as if either support them in the task itself or help them create a working group in order to lobby SFU and to create more anti-racism mandatory classes. So what they said was they are going to be writing a letter to their Dean of Education, and their ask from SFSS was, wait, let me see, where is it? To establish a working group on the topic of mandatory anti-racism education by September 2020. And they are going to draft a petition to President Petter, and they want us to add our signatures as well as circulate it around the university. And their ask for that, again, is to be implemented by September 2021.
Wait, did you they want to implement mandatory anti-racism education as a program requirement for all Faculty of Education programs by September 2021?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So basically their ask is us to help them in this. And I think that me and Anuki, ultimately, we're going to try and create some anti-racism related work. We are looking at doing it in Surrey campus because we're on Surrey committee. But after that, we got the email from Jennifer. And so we are hoping that we can assist them, put our focus more into assisting them and trying to create a working group in order to do that for all of SFU. And I guess I just want to know what the rest of your thoughts were.
Did you say Jennifer? Because this email was from Emerly.
Jasmine.
Okay, wait, sorry. The student's name is Jasmine Peachy, and they're a SFU PDP teacher candidate, but then this was sent through Emerly because they were in contact with each other. Yeah, just to clarify.
Yeah. We'll open up to questions then. I guess I'll just say that, yeah, I think this is totally something that we should be working on. And that, again, I'm not really buying the whole implementing this will make more racist thing. I think that's outrageous. And, I think that, I guess just as a clarifying question, of course, I am all for this, working on this at a university-wide level. And I think that is something that through my portfolio I'll continue, and through this committee we'll continue bringing it to the university. But the work that you're specifically talking about, are like the two of you, Nafoni and Anuki, are you more focusing on the university-wide part of this, or more like the Faculty of Education part of this?
Like
university-wide.
Yeah, like what we had planned before was, more of that.
What we had initially planned was Surrey campus, because of the fact that, Surrey has the most Black people in all of BC, and Surrey, the city of Surrey, had written a not so adequate letter addressing anti-racism. But after we got this email, we thought that it would be better to just do it as a university-wide approach instead, especially considering that BC schools itself are looking towards implementing mandatory anti-racism courses. So I don't see why SFU would not be able to do the same.
Exactly. And can I just make a comment about that? Because a lot of students did not receive this type of education in elementary school and high school, it's really important and honestly really essential that this is implemented in university, because what happens when these students graduate and go on, or even currently, right? There's so much impact from racism, and I think it has to be implemented in university, just because it wasn't in the past in secondary school and stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Anuki. Balkis, you're recognized.
Yeah, thanks, Gabe. I'm so on board with this, and something I would love to be really a part of. I think having anti-racism courses it's a good place to start. I also think we need to push for a more comprehensive approach and demand SFU take a very comprehensive approach on this. A part of that would be policy-wise embedding actual inclusive policy, and then also addressing gaps in curriculum, talking about also how faculty and professors need to actually have cultural competency training and stuff like that. Just all around, I guess, a comprehensive approach is all I'm saying. And we definitely need to consult with, or SFU needs to consult with anti-oppressive firms.
Thank you, Balkis. Poom, you're also on the list?
Yeah, I don't know what the research is backing that SFU says that making this mandatory will make people more racist, but I've heard of one of the leading methods of attitude change, especially for a large group of people, is called the Intercontact group hypothesis, which means that by being exposed to more people from a group in which you dislike or have a neutral opinion on, you tend to like them more as soon as you empathize and listen and essentially be friends with them. So I think it's kind of a backwards opinion in terms of research evidence. So if that ever comes up, we can always cite that. Yeah, exactly, about cubes.
Yeah, no, you basically read my mind with your both Poom and Balkis. There is literally no support for the statement, and it's frankly, it's just a tactic to try and pivot away from it. So yeah, Nafoni and Anuki, I suppose. Just for next steps, are you planning on setting up some kind of meeting with the students, or yeah?
Yeah, so right now, me and Nuki have a meeting set for after this meeting, just to talk about how, what we will be asking Jasmine and things like that. And then hopefully we can set a meeting with her sometime this week or early next week and see what she wants from SFSS and how we can help and what she has done already and etc. Things like that.
Cool. can I come to that? Is that something I'm open
Yeah,
to?
yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
okay,
If
cool.
anyone would like to join, reach out to me or Anuki, and we'll send you a link once we figure out when the meeting will be.
Awesome. Balkis?
Yeah, I just want to, Anuki typed out that I'm assuming you mean SFU, should be held accountable for that statement. Is that what you meant, Anuki?
Oh, like Elizabeth Ellis, and yeah, SFU too, because I guess they represent, yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, unless Nafoni and Anuki, if you have anything else to say, I think we have a solid ground here for moving forward. Sounds good. I'll open the floor to final thoughts again. I'll make sure that I'm not missing anyone on the list. Balkis, you can go ahead.
Last thought. I think it's really important that we actually have like race-based data collection at SFU, because that doesn't exist. Like right now, everyone's like, what, visible minority? But we all know being Black and being East Asian is not the same. So they don't face the same levels of discrimination and barriers. And it's really inappropriate to lump everyone into visible minority, including Indigenous students. It's just not, this is not the same. There are different levels and barriers. So I think we need to pressure SFU into collecting that data, even though it's been brought up, but they've been resistant. But I really think that's going to be important. And I'm not saying we should, something about data collection, I've noticed Canada-wide do, is that it's going to be like a stalling tactic. And I don't want that to be the case either, because there is some data, not enough, but still enough to work with to start really trying to implement inclusive, equitable policies. But yeah, I think we should pressure them to collect race-based data, and it would be on the basis of self-identification when you apply to the school. Like, I think that should be a part of our whatever campaign we have moving forward. That should be a part of it.
So well said, Balkis. Thank you. All right, cool. So Anuki,
yeah. This is just so you know how Matt is he's starting the BIPOC committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this something that we should discuss with him and the BIPOC committee too? I like completely forgot. I was gonna like ask you guys.
Yeah, I think yeah, Balkis is gonna kind of co-chair that with Matt. She can speak to that.
Yeah, I think it's super important to be in close communication with the BIPOC committee. I also know BIPOC committee is going to be in need of support from UAA, and that's going to be like a joint effort for sure. I want to recognize that like BIPOC are already dealing with a lot, so I hope it doesn't turn into a thing that like fully falls on, I guess, just like Black and Indigenous students and other people of color. But yeah, I look forward, and I know this is going to be brought up there as well. So we'll be chatting there soon.
Awesome. I'll give everyone another 5 or 10 or 15 seconds just to give a final statement if they have one. And this is our last discussion item, and we do have a little while, so if there's any more. Alrighty. Sounds good. Really good discussion, guys. So we'll move on from 8.3 then to moving to our announcements. So our next UAA meeting is going to be on June 30th at the same time. So that's 2 weeks from now. And I will be sending out the call for agenda items tonight that I've scheduled an email for 5 p.m. And that's that. So that brings our meeting to an end. We'll move into adjournment then. 10.1, be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 4:45 p.m. Is there a mover for that motion?
I'll move. Wei
Chen, sounds good. Is there a seconder?
Nafoni.
Thank you, Nafoni. Is there a discussion on adjournment? I don't think there is, so we will move into a vote then. So seeking unanimous consent on the motion, all those in favor? And so help me, if someone says no, I'm leaving anyway. All right. So that motion carries unanimously. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm really happy with everything that we discussed today. We have a lot of action items to take out of this. Nafoni, are you the meeting's after this?
Yeah, do you want to join me in Anuki?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, I'll send you a link then.
Oh, is it after this? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, if anyone wants to join, they can join.